Continuing.
He knew what he was doing. She knew what she
So,
was doing. They were both
also-
idiots.
Also, do you think the whole change thing could be kind of related to why Pella, like ran off with David and basically abandoned her her admission to Yale and her friends and her father and her entire life, just because she was tired of where she was and she wanted change, even if it wasn't necessarily healthy.
I think it was. I mean, I don't think we can necessarily get inside her head, but I think some of it for Pella was that she wanted to be different. She wanted to be the one that made a different choice, even if that was a stupid choice, which in Pella's case it was. So
How do you know David wasn't the best thing for her?
Guy's a total asshole.
Well, yeah, but
Okay, I actually kind of think I started to like him in the reading when he was talking with Paul at the restaurant and was like, because he seemed kind of genuine in his things, and she's just crazy. And so he thought they had a good relationship, and then she was crazy and just ran off and stuff. I kind of feel bad for him, yeah, because she's a crazy wench.
Well, do you think that she's possibly like this because of what she did? By going off and marrying a guy who's older than her and not continuing her education?
I think part of it was her, like, she made those decisions, like, she could have, like, married him and, like, still gone to Yale
Which
and
is what he
done
wanted
a
her
good
to
thing,
do.
because, yeah, like, if they really did love each other, and I think David did actually love her more than we thought initially, then it would have worked for her to still continue her life. I think she just wanted to, like, she wanted to get rid of all
cut
that.
herself off
She wanted to
completely.
cut herself off and then feel bad for herself because she's cut off. She's another one of those people that, like, wanted to make herself miserable, and I have no pity for her at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the world like that sort of self-injure themselves and then feel
like
bad
Holden.
about it. What?
Like Holden.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Holden.
Do you like with the thing in the restaurant where he was like, "Oh yeah, don't you remember I gave you these earrings?"
Oh, she's
Um,
crazy.
Do you think he was right, or do you think he was making it up to try to get her back?
I think he was
I
right.
think she's crazy.
I think she's crazy. Particularly, she was like, "Oh, he gave me these earrings that I
I'm
realized
gonna
I was
swallow
really like.
them."
I'm going to eat them." Like,
I'm sorry, what? And then she vomits them up. Thank you.
but, like, I think she's, like, legit mentally unstable.
She's a little bit weird.
A little
Well,
bit.
I mean, it's slightly mentally unstable to choose to run away from your second semester of senior year and marry an older man in the first place. And then she ends up even more nuts in that relationship. So yes, Pella is a little bit mentally unstable.
And I think that's kind of partly why she slept with Henry. Because I think it
Well, I
goes
mean,
back
she was
to
like
that-
molesting him, and then
I think it goes back to the, like, she's doing...
Henry is Henry is emotionally unstable. I don't know that he's mentally unstable.
Yeah, I think he's more emotionally unstable.
Which can make him mentally unstable, but it's not permanent.
Do you think it's possible for Henry to get better and be the player he was?
I want him to.
I know, I feel so bad for
I
him.
hate reading the parts about him. I'm like, oh, wow, you're really not doing well? Oh, and you actually are, like, trying to kill yourself a little bit right now. Like, what?
I like
No,
almost
get better
cried.
at baseball.
Did you
Stop
guys?
it.
Did you guys have the response where you just kind of like wanted to jump in the book and hug Henry and like
A little
make him
bit.
feel better?
Actually,
I
I wanted
had moments like
to
that.
have the response where I go and jump in the book and beat up the author until he writes Henry a nicer ending.
Yeah.
But
Like take a club.
but do you think it's possible for him to go back and be good again, or do you think it's
I think it's possible that there'll be something where we realize he's, like, there's been some sort of block. I want that to happen. I don't necessarily know that it will.
This is a nice interlude to my investigation.
Okay, let's hear your investigation about Steve
and
Blass.
Steve Sachs. I tried to investigate the UMCAC, the conference they're in. It's made up, so that didn't work. So exactly. So I researched Steve
And
Blass disease.
Aparicio Rodriguez.
Yeah.
He's not real either. Okay. Steve Blass was an all-star pitcher for the Pirates. In 1972, he suddenly lost control. He walked 84 batters in 88 and a half innings. And he retired from baseball in 1975 and from Major League Baseball in 74, he went back to the minors for a year. And then he went to work for a Pittsburgh company that made class rings, which is something that we'll never have. They were like 30 years ago. And then...
No, they still make them. We just won't have them at TAM because...
Tim is all progressive and
I know because someone on the internet got their class ring to say DFTBA on the side, and I was like, oh my god, I wish we had class rings so we could do that.
Well, they have them at college also.
Yeah.
Because my cousin who's in college, she got her ring like a few weeks ago.
well,
I
Haydn,
don't
you
know.
could get you could get your
Graduated?
class ring to say DFTBA from college.
Yep.
Anyway,
You'll probably go to some weird progressive college that doesn't do class rings.
Yeah, probably.
anyway, he worked for a Pittsburgh company, and then he joined, and then in the 80s he started being like a commentator for the Pirates. And then it says Steve Blass disease is also called Steve Sax syndrome when referring to fielders like Henry. So they were both real. I thought they were both made up, and they're both real.
No, I mean, this is a real thing that happens to people sometimes.
And then notable victims of Steve Blass disease include Rick Anke, Mark Wallers, and Darrell Willis.
Did you research any into the causes?
They don't really know. Like, I looked into it a little bit. It's kind of like baseball sort of treats it as like a pseudo disease. Like, they don't look into why it happens really at all, and it's almost a joke in the baseball world.
Of course it is.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't really look into it scientifically, but they just call it like Steve Blass disease, but it's not. Like, they don't.
Well, I mean,
All of a sudden, you're
and
mad.
like, I think they made a point in the book, or it might have been something I was reading online, but they said, like, I think it was in the book, they were like, oh, this has only happened since 1979, and it was, no, well, this is the first, like, documented actual case of it, and that's why it's called Steve Blass disease, but there are probably people before Steve Blass.
There are
that-
almost definitely people before Steve Blass. I mean, people get bad at things. We just don't necessarily give it a name all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's happened to the Giants. I'm sure it's happened.
Like Lincecum.
What? Like, exactly. Like
He hasn't
Lincecum, like
gotten
Pablo Sandoval.
Bad.
Well, Pablo Sandoval got better, I think.
He just got fat, and now he's better because he's not fat anymore.
Let's stop talking about real baseball.
No, real baseball is fun to talk about, right, Marissa?
Did you watch a game last night?
No, I did not.
You didn't?
I saw part of it.
Cabrera passed Willie Mays in his hitting streak.
Who?
Cabrera.
Really? How long ago?
50.
Okay, we're done talking about real baseball.
No, we're not. Real
Yes,
baseball
we
is fun to talk about.
It's
Fine.
Fun.
No, it's not.
Wait, which
Baseball
is
is.
that?
He's trying to tie up with Randy Wynn. And he might do it
Why are you
tonight.
so good at
Oh
everything?
yeah, Randy Wynn.
Okay.
I'm not. Just those things.
We've had conversations a lot about why the Owen Athlete relationship is different because Owen is a girl, and even Pella.
Oh,
when
it's not a
he's-
girl.
If he were a girl,
Oh, okay. Continuing.
and like even Pella, when she found out, she was like, if he were a girl, he might turn my dad in for harassment, and it turned into a scandal, and my dad would lose his job. That would be bad. And then she's like talking to herself. She's like, well, I guess Owen could turn him in too, but it seems less likely somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe that's sexist of me. Which,
It is, but why?
but
Why?
we all made that. We all had that
Yeah,
discussion
exactly.
too, and we're thinking that too. Like,
But why is it different? Yeah.
I think it's different because we have kind of been told by society that women will be taken advantage of by older men, and that Owen won't be taken advantage of, and therefore will be like is in the relationship like of his own choice. He wasn't manipulated into anything, and therefore wouldn't turn Athenlite in unless he was an asshole.
But
Like,
I also think that Owen is kind of a special case because normally, like,
normally
girl,
this relationship
normally,
wouldn't happen.
yeah, well, like normally, professor young female student relationships happen, like because the girl might be taken advantage of or is like conflicted or something. But Owen, like, even for a guy, is definitely not a normal guy, and so.
Fabulous.
And so does have, like, I mean, he probably is way, way more mature than, like, anyone else is at that age. Even if women do mature faster, he is more mature than all of them. And he was kind of the one that initiated this. So I think just the fact that it's Owen completely changes the situation.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
it
say
is that Athenlight doesn't like, you know, the boys at his college. He just likes Owen. And it makes me feel really bad for him.
Well, it also, I think, what Haydn was saying is like we've been conditioned as a society to believe that young women can be taken advantage of and not young men. And young men can. Owen is not being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Owen is making a pointed decision to somewhat seduce Athenlight. And I think if it was a different boy in a different situation, we might not have quite the same response that we're having here. The difference is that, like Grace said, Owen is fully adult. There is no question in his mind of what he's doing. He's the one with the power.
And I mean, also the thing is, it might be that young women, like in student-teacher relationships, do turn in the professor more often than any guys in the same relationship, because they also have the society mindset of I'm being taken advantage of here, and this is not my fault.
Actually, I think most of the time, even if they do turn them in, it's not like I was taken advantage of. It was, I made the decision to be in this relationship, but I've been scorned somehow, so he loses his job because women are wenches.
I don't think that's necessarily what it is. I
think that happens sometimes.
No, I think that does happen.
Who's seen Veronica Mars?
What's that? Is that the? I don't know.
I love that show. Has no one seen it?
No.
Well, there was an episode of Veronica Mars.
I watched The Almost People.
Oh my god. It's
And then the end. Oh my god.
so weird.
But
Wait, the end with what?
When she's flesh and she gets
Amy?
yeah.
God.
Okay, moving on. Back to discussion.
I actually have a quote about this discussion.
Okay, let's hear this quote about this
Keep laying
discussion.
down and I'm looking at
So Pella, this is from Pella and Henry after she says like, oh, I should keep my distance. You bruised me up pretty bad. And he's like, feels really bad about it. And she says, don't worry about it. It's part of the social contract, right? And she was joking, but I think it's like really telling that she said that. Like that is a joke, but it's a joke that like says something about our society and about Pella that she said that. Like we were talking about how women have this idea that they're being taken advantage of, and then maybe unconsciously we also have the idea that some women, probably not us, but some women probably have the idea that that is their place in society. Even American women, even free women probably have that idea, and I think the fact that the Pella is joking about it like says something about our society.
I don't remember where I heard this, but there was. I have actually no idea where I heard this, but there was a it might have been in the India packets, but there was like one of those leader of the female things that was like, what a woman wants most is like a strong man to sweep her off her feet. Like what a strong woman wants most is this, and so I feel like that is kind of like the mindset of society, that the man is in charge, even though.
Oh yeah, this society is still
Very
completely sexist. Like, no doubt in my mind.
Even though women on the surface have all the rights,
No.
even though
they still make like 75 cents to every dollar that men make.
that is not true anymore.
Yes, it is.
Well, in
that
some
is now
circles, it's
illegal.
probably not, but.
No, but there's still debates about this going on recently in one of the
but
states in the
Obama
Mid-
just-
No,
Obama
but
just
they
passed a
just
law
passed a
about
law recently that undid that in one of those states. I don't remember which one, but because this guy was citing stuff about how women don't have the same devotion to their jobs because they have like kids and stuff, and so it's fine that they're paid less. That is not true. No.
Take out a blank sheet of binder paper, please.
What are we reading to?
Oh yeah, we need to figure out what we're